Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Lovely Rita, meet a maid. Nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tow your heart away.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, the word has just come in. Westchester County, New York executive George Latimer has defeated in the primary tonight, in the Democratic primary, New York squad member Congressman Jamaal Bowman. This is a big blow to the so-called squad, and certainly to Jamaal Bowman personally. It was the most expensive congressional race that has ever happened in a primary. Again, two Democrats going up against each other. Of course, Jamaal Bowman, known for pulling the fire alarm on Capitol Hill right before that pivotal vote and spewing just horrible anti-Semitic comments. Also very much known for defeating Eliot Engel, who was a longtime congressman. And he came in on the heels of all the George Floyd protests. It is a big victory for more moderate Democrats and a big blow to the squad. And it came right after this weekend where Jamaal Bowman was spewing a lot of hate at a very spirited rally in the Bronx, New York. Remember this?
We're going to show them who the we are. We're going to show them who the we are. Bowman, Bowman. Listen. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. We are not going to stand silent while U.S. tax dollars kills babies.
And joining us now for the breaking news is our great news guy, James Flippin. James, this was a biggie, not unexpected, but your reaction.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the polling data held here, which it doesn't always, but in the 16th congressional district, we know it will be a new congressional rep come November because it's not going to be Jamaal Bowman, and all the stuff that, you know, Bowman faced throughout his first term in office included stuff that was really kind of forced errors, it would seem, like the pulling of a fire alarm ahead of a key congressional vote and all the angry animus that he kind of generated by being so pro-Palestine and so anti-Israel. It really seems like that hurt him a lot in this race.
You know, James, exactly. There were so many things. First off, on the fire alarm, we think about that. He didn't admit it until suddenly he got caught on camera pulling the fire alarm. And then, I guess accidentally it somehow happened, some epiphany. That obviously questioned his credibility. And then it goes to, like you just said, some of these statements have been downright vile, where he has accused Israel of genocide. And then over the weekend, Jamaal Bowman was making these horrible statements, swearing. I've never seen a member of Congress, even some Democrats were really offended. And clearly it didn't help him. It doesn't seem in the polls because he lost.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it begs the theory. It makes you wonder, was Jamaal Bowman kind of accepting his fate in terms of the long odds he faced? The polling data was so against him in the weeks leading up to the election. Was he kind of just like auditioning for an MSNBC show with that rally? Was he, hoping to kind of become the next progressive podcast star or something like that? I don't know. But that was a very wild scene. And of course, we know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's the bigger name, she was able to fend off her primary challenge tonight. She was also going pretty wild on that rally stage there in the Bronx. But I will say this, as far as Bowman and that big rally that he held in the Bronx where he went pretty crazy, he did do pretty well in terms of the vote totals in the Bronx. It was really more up in Westchester, up in the Hudson Valley, where Latimer really made his hay. And that makes sense because Westchester County is Latimer country. He's the county executive there, and he's done very well for his constituents.
Yeah, and by the way, George Latimer, Westchester County, New York executive, has never lost a political race.
Isn't that something?
So far, he's got a 100% track record. What does this say about the fact, I mean, obviously, as you just mentioned, sort of different results. You got AOC, who handily wins her primary. She won the last one, too, handily. Now you've got Jamaal Bowman going down, who is a member of the squad. Same thing. It's the first time, I think, that a member of the squad has lost their primary.
That sounds right.
So this is a big deal. It was the most expensive primary ever. There was so much money coming in from all different sides on this. AIPAC, of course, wanted to see him down. There were $15 million put on against him because they were furious. The Jewish lobbying group of some of his rhetoric, as so many Americans were. Is there a message that it sends on this race about the progressives and now leaning more towards, obviously, a more mainstay, a more, certainly less progressive candidate in George Latimer?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that I think that's sort of what's going to result here, or that that's the trend line or whatever. But I also think that you pointed out a lot of the really unique characteristics in this 16th congressional district race. For example, Latimer being such a household name, a guy who's won a lot of elections there.
Yeah, and by the way, people in New York, because our obviously audience all over the country, people in New York know him quite well.
Right.
I mean, he's been in the community, very well respected.
And to your point, during Westchester County, during COVID, I should say, the Westchester County executive, because it's so close to New York City, he held weekly press briefings talking about everything with COVID. So he kind of raised his profile a little bit there. And, look, all that money that pours in from AIPAC, that is not, you can't discount that. I mean, you've been around political campaigns and races and stuff like that. A long time. You have that money to spend, it makes a big difference.
The other thing, we also saw Jamaal Bowman play a bit of the race card, too. I mean, he kept saying, they're coming after me because I'm African American. It seemed like he was sort of trying to throw everything at them.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
a good
brought
point.
up the point of, at the rally, some of the swear words, this, that. It seemed like he really knew he was on a bit of a thread and kind of trying to throw anything at him. What do you predict an MSNBC role next, James Flippin, for him?
I would not be surprised to see Bowman pop up in some format in this media game. But yeah, look, I think that if nothing else, it goes to show you that maybe there was a level to which Bowman just didn't really have a brand. He kind of had a bunch of causes that he was affiliated with. A woman like AOC clearly has that brand. Maybe that's where her political futures are a little bit stronger than a guy like Jamaal Bowman.
And listen, she didn't pull the fire alarm. So she had one up on him, right?
That's true. Just don't pull the fire alarm. It's pretty good for your political future.
Exactly. James Flippin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rita.
With the big breaking news. Thank you.
Breaking news.
And we continue with more big breaking news on this big developing story. Jamaal Bowman, squad member, is out. Out. And of course, the winner tonight is George Latimer in the Democratic primary there in New York. A lot of people watching this race. It had an enormous profile and huge money. The biggest money ever spent for a primary ever. And joining us now is former New York Governor David Paterson, our friend, who was right there at the victory party for George Latimer. Governor, your reaction, first of all, congratulations. I know that you've been supporting George Latimer, and this was a big win. Congrats. And what's your reaction to this big news?
Well, Rita, we have a lot of issues that we have to deal with in this country. We still have poor housing. We have substance abuse. We have crime in a lot of our big cities. We have unemployment. We also have underemployment. And then our healthcare system probably needs to be reworked. And yet, with all of those serious issues, I think sometimes the most important thing in an election is the character of the candidate. Now, as you pointed out, Mr. Bowman, after their debate, put out a press release saying that George Latimer had called him an angry black man. He didn't say it. He just didn't say it. It was just a straight-up lie. But I'm hoping that this election expands not just the disagreement that we have as Americans on different issues, which we can all do and then still respect each other, but also that there is a number of serious problems out here right now, and we need people who are going to find workable, sensible ways to address the problems and not run around cursing and threatening people and lying about their past and that kind of thing. So I was one of the first people from outside the district to come and endorse George Latimer. I've known him for about 20 years. He's going to be a great candidate. You'll probably disagree with him about some of the issues, but you'll know that he's bringing his truth to the table. And if we all do that and still respect each other, we're in good shape.
No doubt. And by the way, I have known George also as well for a long time. He is a very good, decent man. He also now has a 100% track record, Governor, because he's never lost a race. And is there a message too, not just on the division, but also on the sort of progressive side, because clearly Jamaal Bowman epitomized, member of the squad. And a lot of the rhetoric he was spewing was really anti-Semitic and very spiteful. Also swearing over the weekend, like you talked about. And then here was George Latimer, much more measured, decent man. Is there a message about maybe progressive politics, too? Is this a blow to the progressive movement, too?
Well, it's a blow to the individuals who have abused the power that they got when they were elected by the people. It's not an injury to progressive issues, which a lot of very decent people fight for, along with some decent people who fight for what we might call conservative issues. As long as we keep it that way, I think we'll be all right.
Before I let you go, Gov, you hit it right on the head, because I thought I was watching George Latimer's acceptance speech, and right away he said, look, it's not about me, it's about you, and talked about unity too, doing what's right for New York, doing what's right for America. What's the mood there? I know you're literally at the victory party. We can hear it behind you. What's the mood, and what was his mood personally too?
If I was going to describe it, I would say it's as if the New York Jets won the Super Bowl again. So,
wow.
But people are very happy. And I think a lot of people are very relieved, particularly people of the Jewish faith, who hear this kind of talk, and it reminds them of Kristallnacht in 1938, and it reminds them of other verbal threats that were then accompanied by violence. And I'm not saying that the loser was violent, but he certainly adopted that type of campaign rhetoric that I think really we could do without in this country.
Yeah, it was very, very hateful. I agree. A lot of the comments. Well, Governor David Paterson, we love having you here on the show, my friend. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rita. I'll see you Thursday.
Look forward to it so much. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Congrats. And everybody, after the break, we'll talk about what you think this victory means and this defeat for Jamaal Bowman, who, boy, I've covered politics a long time, guys. I covered Marion Barry. And Marion Barry, remember, got busted for a crack. Remember, he said the blank set me up, famously, in Washington, D.C., and he still got reelected. So you never know what was going to go on in this case. But clearly, George Latimer was a much better candidate, much better, I think, human being when you look at the background of Jamaal Bowman and pulling the fire alarm and all of the anti-Semitic rhetoric. It's a powerful message that he has now gone down in defeat. The first squad member to be defeated in a primary. It's a big, big night. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. We'll take your calls after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show.
This is Greg Kelly for Priority Gold. What does it mean to be America's precious metals dealer? It means that you're in touch with the hearts and minds of those who love this country, value our freedom, and want to protect the future. Priority Gold is that precious metals dealer. They've helped thousands of Americans back their retirement with solid gold and silver. Call Priority Gold at 888-506-6439. Receive free shipping, free storage, a free investment guide, and one of the best purchase experiences in the industry. Call now or go to PriorityGold.com.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And I say, thank goodness, Jamaal Bowman, who spewed so much horrible anti-Israel hate, and even in his final comments tonight, continued that kind of rhetoric, calling Israel and its attacks on Gaza after October 7th, after it was brutally assaulted, saying that Israel was committing genocide, ceasefire now, which certainly everybody wants peace. But his comments were vile and vitriolic against Israel. And he has been handily defeated. He also was playing the race card. And Jamaal Bowman, famously the guy who was pulling the fire alarm in the House of Representatives, said he didn't do it. And then suddenly he was caught on camera. Oh, no, I didn't mean it on purpose. Well, you took the sign down and then you pulled the fire alarm, the sign saying, don't pull the fire alarm, to block a vote. This guy, thank goodness, he has been defeated in the New York primary tonight against fellow Democrat George Latimer, who is a longtime politician, Westchester County executive, always had a lot of very high approval ratings, and has handily defeated squad member Jamaal Bowman. Great victory for America to get squad member Jamaal Bowman out of office. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Al in Yonkers. Al, your reaction.
Yeah, hi, Rita. Thanks for taking my call. I'm not surprised. George Latimer is basically a career politician. He's been around for a long time. He's been a county legislator. Some 20 years ago, he was Westchester County chairman of the Board of Legislators. Then he moved on. He became a state senator, and then he was a Westchester County executive. He's highly regarded. He term limited himself. He said he wasn't going to run again. So he's 70-something years old, and I guess he was looking for another office. And as much as he's a decent guy, he's very progressive. He believes in partial birth abortion. He's a diehard liberal. So I'm glad he won because of his position on the state of Israel. But he's actually my senator in my district, my congressman. I wouldn't vote for him, but the district favors the Democrat.
Well, and that's why wherever, now he still has, obviously, is going to have a challenger in the general election. But it certainly sends a very powerful message. I hear what you're saying on a number of issues, but boy, on Israel, he is so much better.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment is sponsored by GoyaCares.com, because you are a precious gift from God. And this powerful story coming from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where a police officer there, Ja'Kiah Jones, had to fill one of an officer's many roles while trying to keep the community safe. He was responding to a crisis at the Mississippi River Bridge when a woman climbed the guardrail and was threatening to jump. The officer said she had gotten a call regarding someone threatening to jump off the bridge and immediately responded when she pulled up on the scene, seeing that it was someone actually on the other side of the railing on the smallest piece of concrete, just sitting there, tempting to jump. She said she went into quick thinking and the training that she had, which was basically to start talking and building some kind of trust. Luckily, that officer spoke with the woman and was able to convince her to get off of that perch. The officer said, the only thing that was going through my head was that this is somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's cousin. If she did that, a lot of people would miss her. And it said it often, but actually dealing with it and seeing that somebody is trying to attempt to do something like this and leave their family behind is just heartbreaking. Sometimes you are somebody's counselor. You're just an ear to listen to what's going on. You see people at their worst often in this job. And that night, there was a lot of listening, trying to understand where she was coming from, and most importantly, trying to save her life. And she indeed did. The two were reunited, by the way, afterwards as well, several weeks after this incident. And needless to say, Officer Ja'Kiah Jones there in Baton Rouge is being heralded as a hero for saving that woman at her most desperate and dire time. I love doing Back the Blue and honoring our great men and women in law enforcement who do so much and often play the role of counselor in chief as well. Well, we are talking tonight about the big news that George Latimer, who is the Westchester County, New York executive, has defeated Jamaal Bowman, who was left of the left of the left of the left, and certainly one of the key squad members, so-called squad members, in the Democratic Party. And this was a primary. It was the most expensive primary ever in the House of Representatives because of a whole bunch of rhetoric that Jamaal Bowman had said some really horrible, disgusting things about Israel, very much supporting those anti-Semitic protesters, spewing vile rhetoric, and also spewing a lot of swears over the weekend. It was one of the most, I thought, shameless and just horrible protests and rallies, if you want to call it that, over the weekend that took place in the Bronx, where he was just shouting really disgusting things. Blank AIPAC, which is the big Jewish lobbying group. Of course, they were spending a lot of money against him because they didn't want somebody anti-Semitic in the House of Representatives. So I say bravo to them for spending that kind of money because his rhetoric was so vile and so despicable. He's also best known for the guy who pulled the fire alarm during a critical vote on Capitol Hill. And then he didn't say, oh, no, I didn't do it. And guess what? Suddenly, the videotape showed him removing the sign that said, don't pull the fire alarm. And then he pulls the fire alarm. And it was during a critical vote time. That speaks volumes about this guy and his character. And here is Fox News political analyst, my buddy Gianno Caldwell, talking about Jamaal Bowman. Take a listen.
And what we saw on that stage was buffoonery. I can't believe that as a sitting member of Congress, instead of you supporting your constituents, which there's many Jewish constituents in his district,
yes,
and voting for a resolution that says, we're going to condemn Hamas, which was an easy layup for him. He chose not to do it. So whose side are you really on? Because it isn't the Jewish community residents that you have. It's not the black community residents. And playing Cardi B does not, I think, bring about a piece of peace, rather, for the residents. It doesn't give them any peace that he's being representative of them. So what are you really doing?
What are you really doing? Well, he got his butt kicked tonight because it got called pretty quickly. The latest numbers, and not all the votes are in, but he's handily been projected to win. is George Latimer winning 55% to Jamaal Bowman 44%. This is in the 16th district in New York. AOC, who had a challenge of her own tonight, there, and that is again Democratic primary tonight. AOC handily won that one. So some of her rhetoric is certainly in question too as well. And she was standing there side by side with Jamaal Bowman. She won handily, by the way, the last time primary too as well. So this is the first time a squad member has been defeated in a primary. It's a very, very big deal. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Kurt, line 1 from Staten Island. Kurt, your reaction.
Hi, Rita. You know something? Look, I turned 65 yesterday. But I mean,
hey, happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Thank you. But I don't understand the hate for Jewish people. What is going on?
Kurt, I'll tell you, I'm astounded too. I am really astounded too. And Kurt, I don't know if you know my background. My father grew up right outside the Warsaw Ghetto. So for me, it's something very personal. My father was Polish Catholic, but understood at a very early age that good people need to stand together, and tried to help those inside and outside the ghetto. And so when I see what I am hearing now, I am shocked. I had no idea of the anti-Semitism that existed to the degree that we have seen on college campuses and in other places. It's just shameful. And what I am happy about, though, tonight is that somebody who was spewing just despicable, horrible, vile rhetoric against the Jewish people in many ways, he got his butt kicked tonight. And I'm glad that the people of New York's congressional district there, the 16th district in the primary, said, no, this is not an appropriate person to be representing them. And should not be in Congress anymore. And that, I think, is a powerful message. Hopefully, that message gets sent to others who are spewing similar rhetoric, because I agree with you, Kurt. It's just shameful. Thank you very much, Kurt. Hopefully the tide is turning, because, boy, when I hear some of these horrible things out of protesters, they should all be shouted down and kicked out of office. Anybody who supports this anti-Jewish rhetoric is disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And I agree with you. I'm shocked, too. But I'm happy that tonight justice came through. Let's go to Alice in Ohio. Alice, your thoughts.
Hi, Rita. First of all, you are appointment listening. You are the best.
Thank you, Alice.
And you always remain the lady. I have so much respect for you.
Thank you.
You're great.
Yeah, I'm not even wearing red. I would say lady in red, but I'm not wearing. Usually, I'm wearing red. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, that's a good color. But what I want to say is that I'm rejoicing with you, because this is important to vote out the members of the squad, because this affects our whole country. Every little bit counts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why this is a biggie, don't you think?
Yes. Oh, yes. I've been watching it. I'm also concerned about AOC, all out crazy, that she was able to win her primary. Although let me tell you, Alice, just from a challenger perspective, the challenger against Jamaal Bowman is a well-known guy. He was the Westchester, New York County executive. He's been in politics a long time, very well known. A very good, decent man. I've actually seen him at a number of veterans events, certainly well known in the community, and a smart, sharp guy. The guy who came upon AOC was not so well known, and she's also, she didn't pull the fire alarm. So, maybe it takes, I'm hopeful that a squad member got his butt kicked. But what does it take, a fire alarm to get kicked out? I'm not sure how much to read into it, because she didn't get kicked out. And yet some of her comments, I agree, are reprehensible too. Don't you think, Alice? Absolutely. And their behavior is disgraceful. I think this may also show that the American people are coming around to realizing that
These people are taking us in the wrong direction, and we're losing our country.
Yeah. By the way, I agree. I'll tell you, I agree. I think that it is a message that loony kazoonie just doesn't work. That people want common sense, and people that shout vile, disgusting things do need to be, disgraced and don't deserve to have the privilege of representing people. I believe, Alice, your thoughts, but I really believe that somebody in Congress should be, other than obviously what happened with George Santos, but should be somebody of credibility and should be somebody who is worthy of representing the people. And when you see somebody who's shouting this vile stuff, and then even over the weekend at the rally, he doubled down at his rally in the Bronx. I'm talking about Jamaal Bowman. AOC was with him. He's sitting there swearing. I mean, even Democrats, even fellow Democrats were appalled by him. This guy is not worthy of representing the people of New York, not even the people of Timbuktu. Your thoughts?
Their dignity, and we have very few statesmen in the House and the Senate. I'm so disappointed when I hear AOC talk. She sounds like a sophomoric sorority girl.
Yeah, well, she was a bartender not that long ago,
yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Yes, but did you look at her academic background? Why could she not apply that background and get a real job? Why was she a bartender?
Yeah,
That's
it makes you wonder.
Too.
Yeah, and then went from bartending to, squad membering, I mean, it's like, talk about a career boost, Although some days when I hear her rhetoric, I wish she went back to being a bartender. We all need, what?
She found her calling when she was a bartender. We need more dignity. We need statesmen. We need people who are going to represent our country for the best people that we are. And I can't say it any stronger.
I agree, Alice. Bravo. Yes. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Well said, Alice. We always love hearing from you, and thank you for the very sweet words. Thank you so much. Well, let's go to Stan in Forest Hill. Stan, your reaction. You got to be happy about Bowman.
Alice in Wonderland is out of her mind. Of course, I'm happy about Bowman going, but
how's she out of her mind?
Rita,
she said it was a good. She said it was a good night. Don't you agree?
I do, but her attitude of who statesmen are out of touch with reality. I don't like Bowman anyway. The point is this: he may run as an independent. Okay, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I heard. I heard, by the way, Stan, and in fact, you bring up a very powerful point that he may run on the Working Families Party. I think he's still. He still has that line, is my understanding. So you're right. That could actually create some issues there. It depends.
I think Latimer is a strong guy. He's pretty tough. He knows politics. I think he may win. But still, it's a problem. But I wanted to mention some other thing. I'm glad this guy lost because he's anti-Semitic. But it's time to get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Republican side, who's anti-Semitic and hates Israel. So you can excuse me, but she's got to go too.
I don't see her calling for the genocide of Jews. She's
anti-Semitic. She says it quietly. She doesn't say it publicly.
Because she said it quietly. What, is she sending code messages to you, Stan, that only you can interpret?
She's no damn good. She's anti-Semitic. I know it. If you don't, I do.
Well, I guess maybe because she talks to you every night. Do you talk on the phone every night? Is that how you know?
I wouldn't give her my back of my you-know-what, please.
Oh, my. Stan, obviously, Orange man bad, Biden good.
We're not talking about Trump.
No, but everything is. Everything is. So let me ask you. Let me ask you. I got to ask your take because the debate is coming. I know you weren't, but you'll always lump everybody in one side or the other. So since you lump them all, do you think Joe Biden is going to be like a triathlete in the debate?
I'll tell you this. Again, I've said this about 4 times to you. Do not underestimate him. You think, what he looks and does is one thing. What he says is more important. That's the whole night. For both of them, what they say, is more important than how they look.
And by the way, I agree that what they say is key.
And I don't underestimate Biden, Stan, in the sense that, look, at the State of the Union, he clearly we got the angry Joe Biden that time. He was pounding his fist, and he had a lot of energy, but he certainly got off course. And the person who got him off course was your buddy, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Remember, she was like, say her name. And then he came back and said, Lincoln Riley. And how about that moment, too? Because then he called the guy who killed Laken Riley an illegal. And what did he have to do? Your buddy, as opposed to saying how horrible the crime was, he apologized to the killer, saying, boy, I'm so sorry I called you illegal. That's your guy, Stan. That's your president. And thank goodness Marjorie Taylor Greene took him to task, because we got to see that moment, which was very revealing. And Stan, I can't wait to see what happens Thursday night. Get the popcorn out. Can't wait. We'll continue with your calls, everybody. 1-800-848-9222.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Coming up in the next hour here on the Rita Cosby Show, we have some big news on the VP front with Trump. So you definitely want to stay tuned to that, and also an update on the gag order against President Trump. A lot more coming up in the next hour. The VP stuff, wow, it's big. So stay with us, everybody. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Mike in Georgia in the meantime. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Rita, just wanted to give you a call, and what was his name, Stan, who was downing and dissing my favorite representative here in Northwest Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, 14th District, good woman. I've met her 2 or 3 times. She is not anti-Semitic. She is a little bit of a firebrand. I'll give you that.
Yeah, she is.
Loose cannon. She's a loose cannon, but so was Trump, and for better or worse, that is what we needed and still need. So, come on, Stan. Go easy on the girl, please.
Good for you. By the way, Mike, I am so glad that you called. And listen, just like you said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, she has been a big fighter, it seems like, for so many people in Georgia and across America on a number of issues. And you heard what I said. Bravo for her for taking on Joe Biden at the State of the Union. Right.
She was one of the first ones to call for his impeachment.
And listen, and also the whole Mayorkas issue, she called for Mayorkas and was leading the fight there. And boy, if anybody deserves to be impeached, I would start with Mayorkas, and you could certainly make the case for Biden on the open border too, don't you think?
Amen to that. It's not, well, I started to say it's not affecting us in Georgia too much yet, but it's starting to. It's like I have heard it over and over. We're all being affected, and then we have got to take care of this at some point.
Well,
it'll be part of our downfall.
Yeah, 100%. Mike, thank you. I'm so glad you called. Thank you for listening from the beautiful state of Georgia, which I love so much. And boy, it's going to be interesting. Georgia has a lot of action where Mike is, because of course it's going to be in Atlanta, where the debate is going to be taking place in 2 days. I can't wait. You can tell this is like the Super Bowl for political junkies like me, but it's also the Super Bowl for all of us, because many people believe it is do or die, especially if Joe Biden can't stand up for 90 minutes.